Ruben, Ian, Anka, koutou, ka hara mai tawhiti, ki taku rangatira Barry o Perth, e te kaumātu e te rangatira ka mihi atau ki a koutou. Ko māua ko hinerangi e mihi atu nei ki a koutou, pōwhiri nei ki a koe e te pirimia. Ladies and gentlemen, to our esteemed Prime Minister and to those important representatives from Brookfield, we're about a month away from 30 years since the historic signing of the Raupatu settlement, the first treaty settlement to be ushered in by the then national government. It records an important part of the development of this tribe of Waikato. And so as I stand here today, in those 30 years, this is the single largest investment that this tribe has undertaken. And more especially, we are proud, we're excited by the fact that we are working now with a global giant in Brookfield, a company that believes in the importance of partnership, so that we are able to be transformative here at Ruakura, the inland port that we've spent considerable resources to get it to where it is, and now we need to finish the job. And in finishing the job, we have reached across the world and we've found the best partner, and that partner is Brookfield. Prime Minister, we're excited by the opportunity. We're happy that you're here because actually developments of this size is important not only for this region, but actually for our nation. Absolutely. After each other's interest in order to grow a solid and strong return, not only for our joint venture company, but actually prosperity for our families and for our iwi. This actually is also an opportunity to send a message to other iwi across this country. It says that actually we are able to do business with successful global companies. It says that actually doing business is a real possibility where partnership of substance, of significance can be achieved. And so today, in closing, can I just say to Brookfield, your capability and your experience in commerce will hold this tribe in good stead. We're excited by the opportunity to work with you. And we're excited to prosperity. We'll welcome the partnership with Brookfield, and we welcome our Prime Minister to provide the necessary support so that these sorts of things can fly without any impediments, without any bureaucratic obstacles that might be there. Prime Minister, welcome to Kurangatira. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou. Kia ora tātou.
Very excited to be partnering with TGH Group as we look to make this very strategic investment, as we look to develop a $1 billion new logistics precinct in the Ruakura Super Hub. Brookfield takes partnership very seriously. We are very selective with who we partner, and being able to find TGH, they've really impressed us in terms of the quality of the institution that they are, their level of detail, and how they've really approached us, embraced us, but really brought through the investment. we've been quite impressed in terms of what we've seen from New Zealand, and I think our ability to grow this business beyond what more we can see is really important. From a logistics perspective, we see New Zealand similar to major gateway and global cities, whereby they have low vacancy rates, onshoring of e-commerce, and we see Rio Kura as a hub where we can create great logistics product, and we see the demand really, really outstripping that. We had key representatives at the Prime Minister's Investment Summit a few weeks ago, and I think we left that with a clear vision that the New Zealand economy is open for business, for foreign capital like ours. It left us with a lot of confidence and conviction that, investing in the ability to deploy future capitals across our vast pools is available. And, hopefully this will be the first of many investments that we make in New Zealand. And lastly, just a heartfelt thank you to our partners. I think we knew this was a unique opportunity when we saw it, and I think every moment we've spent working with the team has just been better and better in terms of us finding that opportunity. And I think from now it is really, I think as Hinerangi mentioned to us earlier in her speech, it really is about putting in the work now to really make it something special, but the beginning is here and we're very excited for the opportunity ahead. So thank you to the TGH team. Thank you, Prime Minister.
Well, ka nui te mihi kia koutou, kia ora, good afternoon everyone. Can I just start by acknowledging all of Waikato Tainui and also Brookfield Asset Management Group, and just say congratulations to all of you and your team. But can I just especially call out Tuku and Hinerangi, and also mention Ian and Ankur and Ruben, and just say, and all of your teams, I hope you feel incredibly proud about today, because this is genuinely a very, very special day, I think a monumentous day in terms of this partnership that's been forged in the way that it has. And I want to say congratulations to all of you. It was great to be able to meet you also at our Investor Summit just a couple of weeks ago, and I know you had conversations already up and running, and it was important, but to be meeting here just a couple of weeks later, celebrating this long-term joint venture between two great organisations is pretty special. And I just want to say, Tuku and Hinerangi in particular, to Waikato Tainui, I hope you feel incredibly proud of what you've achieved, but more importantly about what you're building for the future here. And, it is simply incredible, and I think incredibly world-class what you've actually developed and what you've built here. The vision, the passion, the long-term vision and plan of where you want to go with it is absolutely incredibly special. For those of you who may be just listening to this or watching this, the Rio Kura Super Hub is actually a major supply chain corridor for New Zealand. It services around 45% of New Zealand's population, servicing about 42% of all of our freight and 55% of all our GDP. And so just think about that. It's not just about an investment here for Waikato Tainui, it's actually an investment here on behalf of all of New Zealand that's going to have huge advantage for us to step change our economic productivity and obviously lift the living standards for everybody, which is what we're here to do. So I think the combination of the commercial savvy of THG and then I think TGH, and I think also the expertise of Brookfield coming together in this way with their $1 trillion infrastructure asset management company is just an incredible partnership that we want to see a lot more of in New Zealand. And so partnerships like this are incredibly important, because this is how we drive economic growth. By driving economic growth, that is how we put more money into Kiwis' pockets. That's actually how we collectively lift all of our living standards as a result. And that's why my government's saying we are very open for investment. We want global investors to think about New Zealand as a safe haven, a place where they can get great returns and fair returns in a world that's increasingly volatile, and a country that's going to continue, as I've said this week, to advocate for free trade as well. And we just think there's a great future for our country. This is a country jam-packed with amazing potential, and we are determined together, iwi, government, business, community, to go out and actually make that happen and realise that for ourselves. And it starts with investments like this. So again, can I say thank you to everybody. We wish you all the very best. Congratulations to all of you, and we wish you extreme success in the years ahead together as well. Thank you very much.
Kia ora everybody, ko Sonia Hagi tōku ingoa. I'm going to try and facilitate the Q&A. I'd ask our three main spokespeople to come forward, please. Prime Minister Tuku. Thank you. And I know that you don't necessarily do this in Wellington, but it's what we do here. I'm going to ask the members of the media to please introduce yourself so that we know who we're talking to. Thank you. Starting over here. No, introductions please.
Hi, I'm Danielle from the Waikato.
I'm going to go through and, yeah. We'll do the introductions first so we know who we're talking to. Thanks, Danielle. Yep. Yeah. Kia ora, Joe. Kia ora. Kia ora. Mike?
Kia ora, Michael Roberts from India. I'm Two Fin Model 1 with Radio New Zealand.
Okay.
Kia ora, Julia Gable from Herald.
Great.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Right. Fire away.
Prime Minister, the Treaty Principles Board was voted down yesterday.
I tell you what, why don't we take questions on the investment and then we'll come to the general stuff for the day and then I'll
Yes.
let these guys go.
Can we cover what we're here today?
That's right, I will answer those
today,
questions. I'll do that as the
and then
stand-up.
we'll move into your other questions.
Yeah, I'll let
Thank
these gentlemen
you.
go at that one.
How long did this take to get across the line? This negotiation and business deal?
It's about 6 months.
6 months, yeah, October.
Yeah, about 6 months, yeah.
Is that impressive, Prime Minister?
Oh, look, it is. I mean, you've got Tuku and the team who are commercially savvy at the best of times, at all times, I'd say to you, and then Brookfield, and I know Brookfield from a little bit from my former life as well, and to think that a company that's got $1 trillion worth of infrastructure assets under management, and he's partnering with the commercial savvy of Waikato Tainui, and the two coming together, that's a pretty powerful combination. So it doesn't surprise me that 6 months is what it took. But I think, as Tuku alluded to before, and we talked about this at the Investor Summit, which Mike very kindly emceed the event, that there is real opportunity for iwi, because my observation is some of our most sophisticated commercial organisations in the country, period, very, very successful at establishing great relationships internationally, and it's not a surprise in many ways.
Would the government learn a thing or two from Waikato Tainui in terms of securing major business deals with foreign investors?
Well, I think this government's got quite a lot of commercial aptitude, as you've seen in the last 16 months. So you can talk about previous governments, but I think this government understands the commercial world and understands the trade environment and the investment world, and that's why you've seen us work incredibly hard. The work of Tama Potaka and Chris Bishop, in particular as Minister of Infrastructure. That's why we're liberalising the planning laws so that we can actually get things unblocked and get things built. It's why we're reaching out through the Investor Summit to say we're open for business and facilitating that investment as best we can. We want to see this, more projects like this, and so there's always lots to learn from each other, I think. And I think even just hearing Brookfield and Waikato Tainui talk this morning, just in the boardroom before, there's learning both ways. There's lots that Brookfield's taking out of the engagement with Waikato Tainui that they haven't experienced before as well, and I'm sure there's lots the other way as well. So, yep, we just keep, but it just illustrates again, we have a great future and that we can do this. And, I'm just very proud of what Waikato Tainui is doing with Brookfield here. It's really special.
E kore e tae te whawhati tēnā me te kōrero. E hira ana tēnei kaupapa te mea ke kua te whera ngā kuaha ki te ao. Kua te whera ngā kuaha ki ngā iwi o te motu nei. Kaua ko mātou ana he. Engari ko ngā iwi katoa o te motu nei. I runga anō i te kōrero. Ina tae e mātou ka tae e koutou. Koina.
I roto i o kōrero i tēnei hata i ki koe ko te tikanga te tuapapa o ngā hononga haere whakamua. Te hea koe
Koina. Kia kaua a tātou tikanga e tāmi e pēhira ki raro. Waiho atu wā tātou tikanga hei whakakakahu i ngā kaupapa pēnei ne. Koina. Kia ora. It's pretty difficult to find the appropriate words in order to explain, I guess, the euphoria, the sense of achievement, the scale of the opportunity that has come as a result of this partnership. And so, in the 30 years, this is by far the single most important, investment by Waikato Tainui. This is, without a doubt, the thing that moves the dial. The thing that is transformational, not only for our tribe, but actually offers the opportunity for other tribes across this country to believe actually doing business with a global giant is possible.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's achievable for us, it's possible for others.
Yeah, well said.
Absolutely.
And in terms of that transformation, can you see it having a positive impact on the next generation of Waikato and how
Everything that we do has been echoed not only by Waikato Tāne but also by Brookfields. This is about a shared prosperity, of growing the promise of prosperity for our young and those who come after us. And so as we stand here, this is a legacy development. This is something that we will see the fruits of. Those who come after us will enjoy. And so, for us, this is a line in the sand to say to our people, this is just the beginning. There is promise of more in the future. And so, pretty difficult to find the right words in order to articulate in the most appropriate way how excited we are.
That's it.
Really is.
Ruben, is Brookfields open for business to other iwi?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think part of what we have enjoyed through this process is really that cultural alignment in terms of it hasn't just been about economic objectives as we've covered. It's really been about the cultural alignment and the ability to make an impact from a social perspective, whether that be jobs creation, having the ability to reinvest in the community, or giving TGH the opportunity to reinvest back in the community. There's no reason that off the back of a successful mould with this, we would actively encourage working with further iwi.
what was it that attracted your interest? What about the was it that attracted your interest?
I think, as the Prime Minister covered, it is both a very unique piece of infrastructure, but then the ability to also work with the iwi with TGH in this particular instance, in quite a unique way, which is a win-win solution, was very appealing. I think we brought very complementary skill sets in terms of a global lens on real estate expertise with what is quite large and vast pools of capital, to a very local and focused team that is able to unlock and has proven that with the side we're standing on and others that they can bring this on, but really that's just the constraint on capital and momentum being the only thing holding them back at the moment.
Right.
Any other questions about today?
I think the final thing to say is that actually it's important to continue for iwi to continue to work with the Crown and the government, because actually all of us have to live within the framework of RMA and all the other processes that are important to enable these sorts of opportunities to fly. And so
more to do.
Yes, and while there's more to do, we are inextricably bound with processes that the government provides us with. What we have to do is find the most efficient way of working within the process, working with the Prime Minister and his ministers in order to move this to the next stage. So on that basis, working with the government is undeniable. We have to try and
Big time.
work in the most efficient and appropriate way. So it's pleasing that the Prime Minister is here. Sorry? Mā te mahi tei. E kore e te tuki ina kore mātou e mahi. E mahi tei. Mā te mahi tei. We have to work together with the Crown in order to get the benefits that our people deserve. And we've got to find the best ways of doing it. We're just very fortunate that we are able to do that with Minister Bishop, the Prime Minister, and his senior minister. So, tomorrow is a new day. We've got to get on,
Keep moving.
and deliver for our people.
Well said. Okay. Do you want me to deal with all the other political questions of the day? I'll let these gentlemen go. You go get a cup of tea. I'll hopefully join you in a few minutes. Good. And it's good. Can I just comment on Tama Potaka's shoes and hat? Can I just open our press conference by saying what a good-looking man with that bald look that he's got going on. I mean, it's not. We don't. Both of us have Mike McRoberts sort of here, eh? But
right.
I mean, it's a good look that he's got going on, and just the combo of the shoes and the hat is quite special today.
You can take a photo of us.
Yeah, it's very, very good. Look at that.
No crocodiles.
No crocodiles were harmed in the making of those shoes. All right, sorry, I digress. Happy to take questions as you wish.
Prime Minister, has David Seymour failed in his pursuits from the 20 Principles Bill?
Well, look, it's been a very tumultuous period. There's been strong views expressed on all sides, but it is done and we are moving on. And events like today underscore what we want to do and what our vision is, that we want to work with iwi really strongly. We think, particularly in the National Party and particularly with this coalition government, that we actually believe in localism, we believe in devolution, we believe in empowerment that's consistent with mana matautaki, and as a result we think there's a lot more, as Tuku alluded to before, that we can be doing together. And despite all the tension and stress and pressure that's been around that bill in the House, I've continued to meet Tamara and I and Chris with other iwi up and down the country talking about the program of work that we want to be able to do, because it's stuff like this, frankly, that is actually going to improve the outcomes of Māori and non-Māori across New Zealand. That's what we want to focus on.
It has implied that there'll be a treaty principle called tūpono of some sorts before the next election or at the next election. What do you make of that? And if he is ever involved in your coalition government again, can you rule out having that as a part of the agreement?
President
Yes.
Pins called it a rubber sort of bill. Do you think that's an accurate description?
Well, again, it's the reality of a modern MMP environment. I've explained our position, through the first reading, supporting it. There's narration of views. Yes, there's strong views on all sides of that debate. I get it, but it is now closed out. It's finished. We voted it down yesterday, and it's over, and we're moving forward, and that's what we've got to focus on.
You were in the House yesterday when it was voted down. Do you regret that?
No, not at all. My position's been crystal clear, and as I said yesterday, dealing with trade issues where I was needing to talk to different world leaders about how we continue to advance world trade and free trade. That's where I needed to be focused on. And frankly, New Zealanders are over it. They want us to move on, and they want us to focus on things like this that are actually about advancing their well-being and their standard of living, and that's what we're going to do.
There are concerns, though, about some of the other government policies like NACA and the treaty board review of the continuing legislations. What reassurances can you give to Māoridom and the New Zealand public that these bills will not be harmful or impactful on Māori rights?
Well, I mean, that's the history of the treaty conversation in New Zealand over the last 185 years, right, is that we pick up each of the issues that are there and we debate and discuss them. And if you think about 185 years worth of history, that's why I think the treaty's made us a better country. I mean, it's made us much more tolerant. Yes, we have moments where we go forward, we go backwards, but the arc of where we're going as a country is a positive one. So look, there will be other debate points, I'm sure, on MACA. It's just the question of what was passed as law and legislation under government and how that was interpreted by the courts. Obviously, the Supreme Court's come back and reinterpreted it again and overruled the Court of Appeal, and we need to digest all of that. And what we're actually asking for in legislation going forward is what we've found is actually generic, open-ended sort of general clauses about the treaty or give effect to the treaty or is not as interesting to a point, but actually the more important thing is to have very specific references to the treaty, so the obligations are crystal clear on all the parties, so that it doesn't create uncertainty about what does that actually mean in practice with this specific piece of legislation that's going through. So what we want to see is more specific treaty clauses that are very tailored to the legislation that we're dealing with, so that the obligations are crystal clear on everybody as to what's expected of them, rather than leaving open-ended and for interpretation and in the courts, which then slows everything down. We want to do a bit more harder work to make sure that that's very specific.
But can you reassure the public in Māoridom that treaty court review will not have a negative impact on Māori and Māori rights?
Well, we don't think it will. We want to protect, we want to honour the treaty, we want to protect Māori rights. We understand there's obligations from Crown and Māori and iwi to each other. We're going to continue to do that. It's just technically having big, flat, open-ended clauses with interpretation being, depending on who you talk to, it can be interpreted a gazillion different ways, isn't the way forward. We need to have very specific clauses in those legislations, and we'll work through that process in a sensible way.
Prime Minister, there was a Auditor General's report tabled yesterday, which was really scathing about the fulfilment of treaty settlements, not just for this government, but successive governments and public organisations. Is that something you're looking at?
Yeah, very, very focused on wanting to accelerate treaty settlements. I mean, you sit here, as Tuku just said, almost 30 years out, and you see what asset base was settled and then what it's turned into. We think that's a great way to go. We want more treaty settlements closed. It's a conversation I've had with Paul Goldsmith. How do we continue to accelerate? How do we continue to close them out so that actually we set up iwi across the country with more opportunity and more choices about what happens in their future and empower them to do so. So I have asked for us to step up the tempo around that. It's my desire to get as many settlements done as possible, because I honestly think that's the best way forward for iwi.
I think this report is more about once those settlements are done, that they're adhered to. both parties are not going through litigation, expensive litigation, trying to make these settlements
Yeah, well,
the way they were designed.
Well, yesterday, for example, Tama and I met with Rokawa, and we had a really good session there in a set piece meeting, a regular meeting, and I've done a few of these now. And really, my desire back to our officials and back to everyone involved, and ministers included, is that we have to be making sure they're actually following through on actions and actually things are getting done. That we have obligations under the settlements. There are also topics of conversation that happen as we get aware of where an iwi is wanting to go and what they're trying to do and how we can help support and work together on that. So I do think there's more that we can do to make sure that we actually are not just having meetings and lovely hui and lovely discussion, but we're actually getting actions done and they're actually getting completed and things are moving forward. And that's the nature of our government and how we want to roll on deliverables, and that's what we've got to keep working hard at.
Prime Minister, on trade, Minister Peters says your phone calls with world leaders yesterday were premature. How do you respond to that?
I don't think that's what he... Well, I think the context of a question that was asked to him on the tiles, but what I just say to you is, I gave a pretty broad-ranging speech yesterday on trade, which was appropriate given the week that we've been experiencing. And over the course of yesterday, I was doing three things really. One was reaching out to key bilateral partners for New Zealand to say what more could we be doing together in a world where we have a like-minded approach to trade. Why don't we? What more can we be doing to turn this up? Secondly, to sort of understand how they have been interpreting the events of the last week and what that means for them and their economies. And then thirdly, making the case that we should be reaffirming the principles of free trade together. So whether that's in an ASEAN bloc, whether it's in a CPTPP bloc. I also spoke to the President of the European Union last night, and our conversation was, if you think about the 27 countries in the EU, if you think about the CPTPP countries, how do we not introduce new impediments to trade moving around the world? We will continue to work constructively with the US. The US is obviously 13% of global trade, but there are also other trading blocs that actually just, that are like-minded, and we'll continue to keep working hard there.
Who have you spoken to today regarding trade, and do you have any big names coming up this afternoon?
Yeah, I've got, I spoke to Prime Minister Rambuka this morning actually from Fiji, and I've got a couple more, and we announced them after we've done them, just for those reasons, yeah. Oh, look, there's huge support for, I think people are somewhat alleviated that the reciprocal tariffs, many of the countries I was talking to are facing 40-45% type tariffs in many cases, 30, 35, 40. And there's some relief that there's been a suspension of that. But it's just the general volatility around that we don't want tariffs, that we actually don't want trade wars. We know that that's only bad for the global economy. And actually the people who get hurt and suffered are often low and middle income workers, and so in our respective countries. And that's how I feel about it, is that I don't want New Zealanders punished or hurt because of tariffs and trade wars, and so we're going to continue to advocate very strongly for free trade. It's been the bedrock of New Zealand's economic story for many, many decades now under successive governments, and we've got to continue to advocate for it and remake the case for it in many ways.
Last question.
Sorry, you go, please.
So just to change topic and question for a colleague, we've seen long-standing reports of the abuse and experiences female MPs in Parliament face being political public figures. Do you feel male MPs hold any responsibility in terms of dealing with that?
I just firstly want to say, I think, a lot of politicians across the piece, male and female, there's certainly a lot more threats and challenges and security issues. From my point of view, I want to make sure always that we don't lose the magic of what happens in New Zealand here. I've travelled around the world, and as I said earlier last week, most places I go to, an MP, a minister, a prime minister or a president is very shielded from the public by virtue of the heavy security that there has to be around them at all times. And so the public often never get to see or meet a member of parliament or a minister or a prime minister at all. And I think in New Zealand we've managed to maintain a balance over a long period of time, which I want to see maintained, which is that I should be able to move around the country, through an airport, through out in a shopping mall, wherever I go, and people should feel free to be able to see me and be accessible, but equally we also acknowledge there are rising levels of threats, and we've got to find that balance of security and accessibility. There's no doubt about it. I think female MPs and politicians, there's a lot more gendered abuse, and that's just utterly unacceptable on all levels. That's why Paul Goldsmith's looking at what the Speaker's doing, and is there anything more that we can do to enhance security and protection. But also it's a call and a message to every New Zealander, frankly. There is a moment between stimulus and response. You may not like policies. We've gone through some pretty emotional topics, that we discuss, as we've just talked about Treaty Principles Bill, for example. There are strong views on all sides of that. But there is always a moment for every single human being between stimulus and response to stop and to think about how you're going to behave. And that's on all of us to do that. And I just would encourage everybody to take that moment and that beat to think about it. But we'll continue to look at what more we can do on a security front as well. Okay, thank you everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you everyone. Kia ora, Prime Minister. Look, we'll finish there, but before you go, I'll just point out to the north we have our 12 hectare ports, okay, that will be built out to 30 hectares. We have 70 hectares of undeveloped whenua here. We'll do that with Brookfield as our partner, and these are the assets that will grow here. And I'll finish with this kōrero tērā, noki ngōki nei hokinga tōpito te ao. And our King saw this, that our friends would come from all the corners of the earth. And what that meant is that we would need the expertise and the experience, not just from within, but also from without. And so today we have Brookfield here who have come and joined with us today. They are our friends literally from all the corners of the earth. Kia ora tātou.